there! My name is Tori Lupinek, and you are listening to The Unclassical Musician, the podcast empowering the new generation of classical musicians to take risks and live a fulfilling life. Each week, we dive in headfirst into a topic on the minds of young professional musicians and come out the other side with a new perspective on life as an artist. Hello, friends. Welcome back for another episode of The Unclassical Musician. It is just me today. Got a solo episode for you about making money. It's going to be fun. But before we get into the nitty-gritty, I wanted to real quick tell you about this website called Patreon, which The Unclassical Musician is now officially on. If you don't know what Patreon is, it's an online platform that allows you to monetarily contribute to your favorite creators online, and in exchange you get access to bonus content. And for The Unclassical Musician, the entry level membership is only $5 per month. And you get billed on the first day of the month. So shout out to my friends who are already on Patreon supporting the show. I love you. Thank you so much. You won't get billed until the first of the month. So there's 3 different tiers that you can support the show on. The first tier, the $5 per month tier, is basically like general support for the show, but you also get to request specific topics. And on the episode when your topic airs, you'll get a shout out on the air. The $10 level, you get your shout out. You also get early access to episodes. So you get access to the episodes a full 24 hours before everybody else does. And you will also be invited to an exclusive monthly Ask Me Anything event. And then the third tier, the $20 per month tier, you get everything that I've already said on the previous 2 tiers. And then you also get bonus episodes. So you remember that one bonus episode that I did about the whole PPP loan situation? Yes, that little insider info, that's going to be for the $20 per month supporters only from now on. So if you want to get in on that, make sure you go over to patreon.com. That's patreon.com/The Unclassical Musician. I would really appreciate your support if you have the extra money. Producing a show on your own does take some money and some time. So any little extra help I can get to make sure that I'm still bringing you the content that you want to see and hear every week, it really means a lot to me. Thank you so much for listening. I know that you have a lot of options, lots and lots of options to listen to in terms of podcasts, and you have chosen to be here with me today, and I love you for that. So with that, let's get down to it, shall we? So this episode, it's not going to be a step-by-step guide to like get rich quick. It's not going to be like a get rich quick kind of spiel, okay? That's not me. This is me sharing some thoughts that I've had during the pandemic that have allowed me to keep making money and to keep feeling like a real live musician. If you're struggling financially right now and you don't even have $5 to support The Unclassical Musician on Patreon, look, I feel you. I feel you. Trust that you are absolutely not alone. As creatives, we know that when the economy is down, arts and culture go down with it, because society deems arts and culture as non-essential. We are not healthcare workers. We are not grocery store employees. Most of us listening are not certified public school teachers. We're not police officers or firefighters. Although we as artists, will argue until we are blue in the face that arts and culture are medicine for the soul, food for the heart, and education for your emotions. Am I right? So, here we sit again, an industry tired of being bullied by the forces that be. But we must do something. We must keep going. We must make enough art so that the common person realizes one day soon how poor their life would be without it. We must keep going. Don't give up. As a 27, almost 28-year-old, I have watched over the years, beginning as early as freshman year of college, I have watched people quit pursuing music as a career. Every year, more and more people fall by the wayside for a variety of reasons. Many admirable, noble reasons, but also because it's too hard. The longer you stick with it, the easier it becomes to feel entrenched by your chosen profession. Like you have put so much time, money, and energy into it that quitting now would be an incalculable loss. But also, the longer you stick with it, the more competition drops off. The older and wiser you become. And maybe you hit your 10,000 hours, and then you feel completely confident in your abilities and your identity as a musician. Like no loss of work could possibly shake you, because you're just going to keep going. Now that I'm done waxing poetic, as a musician forging my own path in the world, I'm going to share with you a journal entry of mine from September 2nd, 2020. This entry is literally just a couple weeks before the unclassical musician started making its way from my brain down onto paper. If you don't journal, I highly recommend that you try it. I never used to. I did not really keep a diary beyond like 7th grade maybe, but as an independent musician, I have found it very useful for keeping myself on the right track. You don't have to journal every day. Some people do. If that's a lot, please don't. I only do it a couple times a month, maybe. But when I do it, I really sit down and I block out the time to like brain dump. You know what I mean? And as a creative, I think it's really good to get all of those jumbled ideas down onto paper on occasion. So this particular journal entry, I'm literally just going to like read from you what's in my notebook and like just with a little commentary as we go. So at the top of the page, I wrote, "What are you truly longing for in your career?" And then under that, I've got stable income, not hourly salary. Performing, prestige/fame, giving back, flexibility, well-rounded, not bored, keeps me improving, helping others, online presence, fulfillment, accomplishing what I set out to do. And then in parentheses, it says orchestra. Alignment, cultural importance and context, current music, living composers, online art. So now let's step back for a moment. And after that, I went back and I kind of like went over the list one more time and I X'd a few things out because I wasn't happy that some of the things that I had written down stemmed from greed, like prestige and fame, and stable income. Can be argued like this is not being greedy. We are not greedy for wanting to make a livable amount of money every year. That's not greedy. And then also discontent. Now, discontent comes from your expectations not aligning with reality. And this applies to fulfillment - accomplishing what I set out to do, in parentheses, orchestra. So that is the entry that I'm feeling discontent towards. As someone who has been training for an orchestral career for nearly a decade, and I'm still not an orchestral player, it's no wonder that I might feel a little discontent in that area, right? Perhaps my identity as being an aspirational orchestral player has been given more importance than the other things that I identify as in my life. Like, for instance, partner, friend, sister, daughter, teacher, mentor, dog mom. All of those identities fill me with joy. Like, I can't stop smiling as I read them. But notice that flutist, musician, orchestral player was not even close to being in the top 5. Do you know what I mean? So I think when you're kind of like doing a brain dump like this, it's helpful to go back and be like, okay, why am I feeling discontent about that? What is the emotion around that? Why is that there? What can I do, or how can I reframe it to make it a positive thing, not a negative thing? So after I went through these what are you truly longing for in your career items, I kind of did some brainstorming regarding the pandemic and like things that had happened up until September at that point. So that's current music, living composers of color, online art. Orchestra and gigs are a live experience. Orchestra and gigs are a live, in-person experience. In my personal opinion, that's how they are best experienced, is in person, in the same room. Under that, I wrote fulfilling a need, connection with others, and confidence. And then directly under confidence, it says, to get there, you need to whole ass one thing. In the words of the great Ron Swanson, never half-ass 2 things, whole ass one thing. If you do not know who Nick Offerman is, okay, you have to go back and you have to watch Parks and Rec, thing number 1. Thing number 2, he wrote a book called Paddle Your Own Canoe, which is kind of essentially like a self-help book, only written by a comedian, and a pretty genius one at that. For those of you who don't know, so I did my grad school at the University of Illinois, and Nick Offerman actually did his undergrad at the University of Illinois, also in the theater school there. So he's kind of a big deal at U of I, and he comes back every so often. The year that I graduated with my master's, he actually delivered the university-wide commencement address. It was great. It was essentially like his time at the university and like some aspects of his book, Paddle Your Own Canoe, kind of sprinkled throughout. But all of this just to say, if you want an inspirational kind of self-help read, but like you're like, oh my God, I'm not about this like woo-woo self-help stuff, Tori. Throw some comedy in there. Read Nick Offerman's book. I'll put a link in the show notes. He's hilarious. So anyways, back to never half-ass 2 things, whole ass one thing. I want you to think about whole assing the thing that makes you money now. Do some work around what has stopped you from putting your full effort into that one thing. What's been holding you back? Why have you been avoiding it? For me, the thing that was making me the most money was teaching. Duh, I've been doing it for a while now. It's like the thing to do here in Texas. But up until September, I was half-assing it because I was very tied up in wanting to be an orchestral player. Since orchestra auditions were not / are not happening, I began to focus those attentions on the thing that was giving me the most ROI. I haven't given up on the orchestral thing by no means, y'all. I'm practicing my excerpts every day right now. I'm just walking in that general direction rather than sprinting through the maze at the Triwizard Tournament unsure of what danger looks around every corner. That Harry Potter reference is in there for a reason. We watched The Prisoner of Azkaban like the day before I wrote the outline for this episode, so my brain was clearly in Harry Potter mode. So anyways, back to the journal. At the top of the next page, I wrote whole ass teaching and then bullet points underneath of it. And these are all things that I know that if I was being the absolute best flute teacher I could possibly be, I should be doing all of these things. And that is market and sell topic masterclasses, put on studio recitals, put on my own recital and invite my students to come, volunteer for El Sistema, keep myself learning both flute and pedagogy by taking more lessons, doing teacher trainings, up my online presence, teach current music by living composers, connect with other flutists and lesson teachers in Texas, and find confidence in my own teaching abilities. I haven't been able to incorporate all of these things yet, but I have done a few of them. And guess what? For the first time in my career as a flute teacher, I have a wait list. In the middle of a pandemic, I have a wait list for flute lessons. I have schools willing to bend to my expectations and my rates for master classes and flute materials rather than the other way around. Like when I first started, I was crawling to schools like, please hire me. Please hire me. I had a freshman make it to All-State this year, and my income has remained stable since September during a pandemic when our options as musicians are extremely limited. So, this week, I encourage you to take out your journal. If you don't have a journal, just a random piece of printer paper will do. I want you to write at the top of it, what are you truly longing for in your career? Find the thing that is making you money right now and lean into it rather than away from it. Us being musicians, you know and I know that we are a very driven and dedicated group of people. And you are going to succeed no matter what you put your mind to. You just have to decide that you're going to do it. Write down the actionable items to improve yourself in that area. Create demand for your services and make that money. In January, I was offering those free 15-minute intro one-on-one coaching sessions for y'all. But I had a few of them, and like 15 minutes is like not enough time. So in February, I'm upping it to 30 minutes. So if you want a little help in this area with figuring out what your next steps are going to be in order to bring your income up a little bit more during a pandemic, because who knows how long it's going to keep going like this for, feel free to reach out. I'm going to put the link to sign up for a free one-on-one coaching session in the show notes. You can also send me an email, tori@torilupinek.com, and we will get that scheduled. Just you and me, 30 minutes to figure some stuff out. It'll be good. Wanted to let you know that there is not going to be a show on February 9th because that's my birthday. I'm going to take the week off of podcasting that week. But we'll be back on February 16th for a conversation with one of the only Australians I am lucky enough to know, Jess Voigt Page, saxophonist and music business and career success coach. So if you found value in the content on this episode today, you're definitely going to want to stick around for that conversation with Jess Voigt Page. You're not going to want to miss it. As always, please rate, review, and subscribe. Takes like 2 seconds, but it makes a really big difference in other young musicians finding this show and having access to the content. And you can always join the Unclassical Musicians Facebook group. I'm going to be posting actual pictures of my journal entries in there this week. So if you want to see all of my little doodles, they're going to be on the Facebook page for you. And please don't forget to check out Patreon. If you are really having a hard time and would love to be able to contribute but just can't right now, you can also leave me a nice review wherever you listen to your podcasts. That would really mean a lot to me too. Every review I get, it makes it easier for this information to get out into the world. I think this is information that more people need to hear, so please share it with your friends. Please leave a nice review. I really appreciate it. And with that, I will see you in a couple of weeks. Yeah, it's going to be a couple of weeks, but it'll go by fast. I promise. Have a great rest of your week. Have a great rest of your week, y'all. I will be here next time. Bye.